It's Elizabeth Brzezowski, and this is my PowerPoint for the final project for 1603. The title of my presentation and paper is The Impact of Remote Sensing in an Agriculture Setting, a literature review addressing the partnership of technology and agriculture. So I want to start off by saying that I chose to do a literature review instead of a case study, mainly just because I couldn't really think of anything specific that I wanted to do for a case study. So for my situation, I found it more fitting to do a literature review. So as my introduction, the purpose of this literature review is to assess the different ways that remote sensing can be applied in agriculture, the impact that remote sensing has on agriculture, compare studies with one another and their applications, and develop a deeper understanding of a growing study related to agricultural practices. So this literature review will include 20 different papers from a wide set variation of opinions, data, methodology, and results. The idea is that a broader set of voices are heard and critiqued for a more robust study. A larger data set is more desired for a literature review such as this one to encapsulate a grander scope of remote sensing has on the agricultural industry. So that being said, why has remote sensing become important to agriculture? Remote sensing offers a new perspective on agriculture by providing producers, researchers, and conservationists the insight into land use and crop sustainability. By using satellite data imagery, drones, and other remote technologies, we can monitor soil health, assess crop conditions, detect early signs of disease and pests, without having to physically inspect every field. This saves us a lot of time and resources when it comes to crop monitoring. Using data-driven approaches influences the use of precision agriculture. Resources like water, fertilizer, and pesticides are more efficiently and effectively used, which ultimately reduces waste and improves crop yields in the long run. Additionally, remote sensing helps track weather patterns, predict droughts, and respond to climate variations. Due to the wide range of uses of remote sensing, it is becoming an efficient tool in modern farming practices. As technology advances, remote sensing will only become more fundamental to sustainable and productive agricultural practices. I'm going to briefly go over the content of my literature review. So for an effective literature review, I used 20 papers emphasizing remote sensing in agriculture, being reviews of other studies and specific case studies, at least 7 pages capturing the detail of each study, organized the studies by the goal of each paper, which I'll talk about next, reviewed the results of each study, gave my own insight about the papers and their significance, and concluded the literature and the importance of the topic. So for the main content of my PowerPoint, I'm really going to be talking about the organization of each study. Considering the size of the literature review, I decided to organize this paper in terms of underlying goals of each study. That being said, the themes are remote sensing applications in agriculture, remote sensing for an environmental and natural resource management, soil and water management, land use and urban planning, remote sensing for crop and yield estimations, modeling and data integration, remote sensing technologies and innovations, general review and overview studies, and then agriculture planning and policies. Considering the sheer size of this study, I'm really just going to focus on the goals of each of the studies and talk about the results and the conclusions more in my paper. So this is mainly going to be an introduction to all of the papers I'm going to be using. That being said, the first theme is going to be remote sensing applications in agriculture. So these papers explore how remote sensing is applied to monitor crop, soil, and agriculture practices. So paper 1 is going to be applications of remote sensing in agriculture, a review. The goal of this paper is to review remote sensing applications for crop monitoring, pest control, and yield estimation. Paper number 2 is going to be radar remote sensing of agriculture canopies, a review. The goal of this discussion is to use radar, aka SIR, remote sensing to monitor crop health, growth, and stress. And then paper 3 is going to be an analysis in modeling of agricultural land use using remote sensing and GIS, a review. The goal of this paper is to explore the application of remote sensing and GIS in analyzing and modeling agricultural land use. So the second theme is going to be remote sensing for environmental and natural resource management purposes. So these papers discuss how remote sensing is used for managing natural resources, including land and water, and understanding environmental factors like climate change. Paper number 4 is application of remote sensing and GIS in agriculture and natural resource management under climatic conditions, changing climatic conditions. The goal here is to investigate how remote sensing and GIS can be applied to manage agriculture land and natural resources amidst climate change. Paper number 5 is going to be soil moisture in agriculture. So the goal of this one is to discuss the importance of soil moisture monitoring using remote sensing in agriculture water management. And then paper number 6 is going to be climate change and agriculture. So the goal here is to address how climate change impacts agriculture and how remote sensing can help in adaptation strategies. So theme number 3 is going to be soil and water management. These papers will specifically focus on the monitoring and management of soil moisture and irrigation. So paper number 7 is remote sensing in soil moisture and irrigation management. The goal of this paper is to focus on using remote sensing techniques for monitoring soil moisture and improving irrigation practices in agriculture. Paper number 8 is going to be remote sensing for agricultural water use management. And the goal here is to investigate how remote sensing can be used to optimize agriculture water use and improve water efficiency and irrigation specifically. So theme number 4 is land use and urban planning. These papers will specifically look at the use of remote sensing and GIS for analyzing and managing land use patterns. So paper number 9 is land use change analysis using remote sensing. The goal here is to analyze land use changes using remote sensing data for better land management practices. Paper number 10 is going to be GIS and remote sensing in agricultural land use. The goal of this one is to discuss the application of GIS and remote sensing technology to study agriculture land use changes and optimization. So theme number 5 is going to be remote sensing for crop and yield estimations. These studies focus particularly on using remote sensing to estimate crop yields, classify crops, and monitor the crop health. Paper 11 is going to be remote sensing applications for crop yield predictions. The main goal of this paper is to explore the role of remote sensing technologies in predicting crop yields and improving food security. Paper number 12 is going to be crop classification using remote sensing. The goal here is to focus on remote sensing techniques for classifying different crop types and improving crop management. Theme number 6 is going to be modeling and data integration of remote sensing. So these papers are going to discuss models and data integration techniques that are used for remote sensing data for agriculture and environmental analyses. So paper number 13 is data fusion in agriculture for remote sensing. The goal here is to really examine data fusion techniques involving remote sensing for more accurate agricultural monitoring. So paper number 14 is modeling agriculture land use with remote sensing. The goal of this one is to investigate how modeling agricultural land use with remote sensing data can improve the land use using planning and decision making. Theme number 7 insights remote sensing technologies and innovations. So these papers specifically explore new advancements in remote sensing technology and methodologies. Paper 15 highlights advances in remote sensing technologies for agricultural applications. The goal here is to discuss the latest advancements in remote sensing at the time and their potential applications in agriculture. Paper 16 highlights deeper learning for remote sensing. The goal here is to investigate the role of deep learning algorithms in processing and interpreting remote sensing data for ag use. So theme number 8 is going to be general review and overview. I really created this theme because they did fall into other categories, but I kind of wanted to have a category that was specifically review papers, so that's kind of what these are. These papers provide general overviews of remote sensing applications, land management, and challenges in ag. So paper 17 highlights remote sensing in agriculture, a review. The goal here is to provide a comprehensive review of remote sensing applications in ag and the future challenges for its uses. Paper number 18 highlights remote sensing in ag and environmental management. The goal here is to provide an overview of the role of remote sensing in ag and environmental management. Paper 19 is remote sensing in GIS for agriculture, challenges and opportunities. So the goal here is to discuss the challenges and opportunities in using remote sensing and GIS technology for agricultural management. And then finally, we have theme number 9, which is going to be agricultural planning with policies. This might be my favorite theme because there's not very many papers with this specific goal. The paper here looks at the application of remote sensing in supporting agriculture policy and decision making. So paper number 20 is agriculture policy and remote sensing. The goal here is to investigate the role of remote sensing in supporting agriculture policy decisions and long-term planning. Now, with the general overview about all of the papers I'm using in my literature review, I'm going to focus on the completed tasks that I've done already. So for the introduction, I've currently created an introduction explaining the importance of remote sensing, especially in the setting of agriculture. So that's done on my paper. Materials and methods are pretty much done. I'm going to review those one more time, but I've assessed each paper's materials and methods within their respective categories. So my paper is pretty much halfway done because these two sections took up such a wide range of topics. So those are pretty much good to go. So things that I still need to do. I need to work on my results. I'm pretty much halfway through writing results of each study and rewording what I've learned from every study. So those are on track to be done pretty soon. And then I also need to add in my personal critiques. So I still need to address my thoughts about the studies and how I think things should go moving forward with this topic of research. And then I need to wrap up my conclusion as well. I'm still working on wrapping up my overall thoughts and the importance of the topic. So attached here are all of my references. This is the 20 papers that I used. I did not write the APA format for them yet. I will write those for my paper, but I just attached the links to kind of hopefully save some space since I have a lot going on here. So yeah, that wraps up my presentation. Thank you all for your consideration and time. If anyone has any questions, comments, concerns, recommendations, anything, I'm all ears. So y'all can email me at my TTU email. And yeah, thank you. I think that's all I got.